How to create a new gradient preset in Clip Studio Paint. Got a gradient there. It's created combining two gradient layers, and it uses the gradient tool. You can see that in the tools panel. Just apply a gradient simply by applying it across the document. And again, you can see the layers. You can also apply it just to a single editing layer. But how to create a new gradient? So now I'm going to get rid of that tool panel. Don't need that anymore. And you can find all the panels via the window menu. So just go to the window menu. You can see tool, subtool, etc. Tool property, subtool, detail. You can see all the panels on the screen, as well as the layer. That's quite a useful one as well. Subtool. Subtool has all the gradients. Some of the ones at the top are ones that come with Clip Studio Paint. Lower down ones are ones that I've created. To start with a gradient, the simplest thing is just go to one of the gradient presets, one that's going to be similar to the one you're going to create, and select it. So once you've done that, what you can then do is you can create a copy of it. You can go down to the bottom of the panel and there's a little there, the second one there, create a copy of the current selected subtool. And that will create a new gradient preset. Obviously at the moment it's exactly the same as the current gradient, but you can alter it. So give it a new name. I'm just going to call it Experiment in this case. So once you're happy with your name, all the various other settings there, click OK. So now you can see the preset appearing there. Now you could just apply it. But of course, what would be more useful is to change it, because you obviously don't want to go with that preset because it's the same as the one you've got ready. So you've got the subtool detail. There's a variety of different settings. So you can see in the categories, you've got a gradient, an ink, and anti-aliasing. And what you can do, you can change the shape. So you can go with, also there's an advanced option. Not going to go with any of those. Change it, mix in various things. But I'm going to show you the basic gradients. So you've got the shape. So you can go like linear, ellipse, or circle. And change those settings just by clicking on those little icons, and you can just apply it. You can also change the edge process. So you've got various things like repeat, no repeat. So that's the first option. So there's no repeat. Now this one's not so good, I think. It just creates the gradient all the way from the start to the end. And then you've got a gradient where it actually smooths it. So it makes it go from start to end to start. So it's a nice smooth gradient. You can see that reverse option or no draw. And that's quite nice for creating a very, very basic solid gradient. And of course, it's still editable as it's a gradient layer. If you do it onto an editing layer, then it's not. There's dithering as well as other settings like start from the center. You can also change the gradient as well. You've got ink. Now ink enables you to, this is the key thing here, draw on a gradient layer. The gradient layer means you can edit the gradient. You can continue to work with the gradient. So you can see over in the layers panel, it creates a new layer, and that's a gradient layer, which you can go back to at any point and change the gradient. Whereas this one, draw on editing layer, doesn't create a new layer and just draws it on the current layer. But it does mean that you can't go back and edit it as easily. You can also change, and I normally go with create a gradient layer. There's also the opacity, so you can put it at, say, 50%. I very rarely do that, but you can do it. So it just makes it Just not so good, personally. But it's nice for blending if you wish to do that. And you can also change the blending mode. Difference, darken, lighten, all those sort of things are standard different blending modes. And you can go for anti-aliasing as well. And that's all via the Subtool detail. Now, once you've changed your gradient, you've modified all the settings you want. Of course, the one I've forgotten, you can also change the gradient itself. Obviously, you probably don't want the white, blue. What you can do, just hover over those colours along the top. You can see the different colour stops. And you can just go to the colour settings, one of the colour panels. There's a number of them. Colour set. Just go down there, colour set, and that's via the window menu. And then that brings up a panel of a load of colours. Now I'm just going to bring it over so you can see it. And you can just select one of those colours. So like go for pink or green or blue, whatever. And then hover back over that stop. And you can also, of course, add stops as well. I'm just changing the current stops. There's a whole variety. So you can move the colour stops as well. You can change other settings as well. But this is just a very basic how to create a gradient preset. Very basic gradient preset. And you can quickly do that, just change using the colour sets. Just go and change all the colours if you wish. I say you can add additional stops if you wish as well. Once you've finished with that, you can get rid of it, that colour. Close it down. So now you've got your gradient and you can draw it. Now, of course, the colour you've got there doesn't look like the colour in the thing. The reason that is because in the ink, you've set it to difference. If I was using normal, you would see those pinks. And so obviously that's the end result there. But I like difference because difference, it just creates very interesting blends. So you can just say apply a couple of times. And these are layers, so you can move and manipulate them, apply effects to them, distort them in many different ways. And you can apply it multiple times. And if you decide you don't want the layer, it's very easy just to get rid of it, just delete it. So you can just apply multiple layers, all gradient layers, which can be edited at any point. And that's creating a new gradient preset. So that gradient preset now is what experiment 1 is. Now, if you go and tweak it again, if you go and change some of the settings, it's changed again. So you will lose that original default setting. So you can see down the bottom, experiment 1 now has all those colours, and that's it. It's been set. But let's say you can go and change the colours at any point, but it's not permanent. So any changes you will end up losing those colour changes. So if you want to save it permanently, the best way is not change anything and also create another copy and then work from that one to create a new gradient preset. And you can repeat that with all of those other presets. Just create new gradient presets from that and use the various settings such as repeat, etc. And there's your gradient again. And that all comes about by using that little copy button just down in the corner. Simple as that. Just click that to create a new copy and work from that. I hope you found this tutorial of interest. Always adding new tutorials about Clip Studio Paint, Painter, Photoshop and many, many other applications. Please leave some comments. It's always appreciated. Also a dislike or like. Thank you much.